You absolutely know Yotsuba would be there in the corner like, I saw everything. Welcome everyone to OCHATO, the fortnightly podcast where we drink tea and review manga. I am Oliver.
And I'm Suellen.
And I'm Jade.
Every 2 weeks, we'll pick a manga that one of us has recommended, and we'll read up to a certain chapter and discuss the manga with a megaton of spoilers. This week, we are reading Yotsuba by Azuma Kiyohiko. And we're reading up to chapter 27. This is the end of volume 4, and it was recommended by me. But before diving in, we must know the answer to the most important question. What is everyone drinking?
Jade, on 3, 2, 1, we'll say the name, okay?
God damn it.
3, 2, 1.
Turmeric gold.
Oh my lord. Did you plan this?
Actually, I just copied Suellen because I came on and I was like, Suellen, what are you drinking? And she was like, turmeric gold. So I was like, yeah, thanks for deciding my tea.
Nice.
It's nice.
What is it? What kind of, is it like a black tea or a herbal tea or?
It's a yellow goldish brown color.
Okay. You mean tea color?
Tea color, yeah. So Ellen, what would you describe the smell and taste as?
It smells like turmeric.
That's not helpful.
It's like gold. That's really nice. I like it.
Do I have one of these? Were these the ones that were sent over like Christmas? Nice. Yeah. I'll get there eventually. Meanwhile, I've got a French Earl Grey from T2. It has no bergamot in, which in my opinion does not make it Earl Grey, but it says French Earl Grey anyway, so we'll accept it. It's nice. It's quite florally.
Oh really? Because it had like fruit tea, like good ones that like not sour but it's not overly sweet.
No, what would you consider a good fruit tea?
What I just described.
Okay, not like any particular like brand or one that I can look out for.
No. Because I've been at someone's house and they offered me tea and they just been like, oh, it's from like Harrods, and I'm like, wow, it tastes really good. Because I always have these like packet teas from like supermarkets and stuff. The fruit ones, they're always most of the time they're disappointing. I think it's either like it smells phenomenal, but when you drink it, it's like really sour or like it's tasteless.
Yeah.
Which hurts a lot.
Yeah. Although it's not a fruit tea, I really recommend Singapore Breakfast by T2. It's
what makes it so nice?
It's very kind of oaty, but also it smells like sparkles. Like
your dictionary of adjectives for tea is just impressive to me.
I mean, especially if you have it with milk, I think it just boosts the flavor. Last time I went in, I didn't really see the Singapore breakfast, but I got I think it's the Scottish breakfast one that they also have. That one's more oaty, like definitely way more oaty than the Singapore breakfast one, but still very nice nonetheless.
Nice. So, Yotsuba. Actually, the title of that follows the same kind of vibe as the title of our podcast, as you may have noticed. I believe, and I could be wrong, in which case the whole podcast name is just wrong. I believe it kind of means like Yotsuba and then something, which in our podcast is a similar kind of thing. It's tea and something. Yeah. In this case, it's manga, but it's a different manga each time.
Yeah, I actually did notice that when I was reading through, because it was like Yotsuba and fishing, Yotsuba and swimming. So I guess we could be OCHATO Yotsubato.
Yeah, we could be.
Yeah.
We've also got the pun with our name in that it's kind of like saying chatto, as in a chat, and then o is, I believe, an honorific that you'd kind of put before to like revere something, kind of like you'd have I'm going to mess up the pronunciation, like okome for rice, or okasan for like mother. So similar kind of thing. But yeah, in Yotsubato, each kind of chapter is its own little thing. they do vaguely kind of link on, and you have some events happening in one chapter affect the next, but they're mostly kind of discrete chapters, which I think fits well with the name. So I had read some of this before, but I'm curious as to what your first impressions were.
This is also a reread for me because I read this a while back and I just fell in love with it and bought the rest of the series. I think I was at volume 6 and then I stopped for a while. But it's nice to reread again because you kind of get some of the foreshadowing for some of the characters. For example, I think you might notice they mentioned Yanda a bit. So it's like another friend of Dad's, but he does appear later in the volume. But I just love how they still mention him at the beginning. So first impression wise, before I picked it up the first time, I thought it's going to be the humor's going to be more childish. It's going to be cute nonetheless, but upon actually reading it, it's far more hilarious than I initially thought and more chaotic.
She is chaos, isn't she?
Yeah, which is my favorite trope, chaotic kids. I think people who enjoy this probably would enjoy like Spy X Family or like Barakamon because they both feature kids who just raising havoc. Yeah.
Kids being kids.
Yeah.
What did you think, Jade?
Years ago, I saw Yotsuba, like images of her floating around the internet, just like her face and like the green hair and stuff. And I didn't know where she was from, but so this was my first kind of look at Yotsubato. So when I was reading the first chapter, I found it pretty neutral at first because it was still like kind of introducing, them arriving to the neighborhood, but it very, very quickly became very wholesome. And I really loved how they introduced like the three sisters and everything and all the other characters and how they slowly introduced them once they've kind of cemented kind of where they are and what they're doing and their relationships and stuff. It was very funny. I laughed a lot and I really want to read more.
Nice.
What about you, Ollie?
I loved it. It's cute. It's digestible, chapter lengthwise. It's funny. It's the kind of thing I can pick up at any time, read a few chapters of, put it down, and then just feel in a better mood than whatever I was in before. I love it. Big fan. No complaints here.
Yeah, because like you'll whenever you pick it up back up again, it sort of brightens up your day a bit with this wholesome humor.
Yeah. Yotsubato obviously follows our main character, Yotsuba. She's how old is she? Anybody know?
I can't remember. I want to say
She seems like she's like 5 or 6 or maybe 7.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. A young girl. The kind of one that still does things like, hasn't been fishing and like gets on a swing and tries to go up as high as they can, not realizing that she may die. That kind of one. The one that's not quite learned to be polite yet, which is lovely, and it leads to lots of good situations. So we follow her and kind of her daily life. She moves to a new place with her dad, who is Yosuke Koiwai, I think. I suck at pronunciation. So he's kind of I think he's a translator. Did they say?
Yeah.
So he's kind of at home most of the time, but busy, leaving Yotsuba to go and do everything, everything and anything that she can. And she quickly befriends the neighbors, the Ayase family, who have Fuka, the kind of middle child, Asagi, the kind of elder daughter, and Ena, there we go, who's the younger girl, as well as the mum and the dad, who work quite well for Yotsuba to bounce off. And I liked all the characters. They were pretty realistic, I thought. And it's nice that one thing that really stood out to me is how kind of nice and safe a neighborhood it is. From Yosuke's situation, having neighbors that are really friendly to your kind of adopted daughter, and generally a neighborhood that she can go around in and you don't need to worry, must be so helpful.
Yeah, he's like perfectly fine for her to like roam around. Like every time when like Jumbo was like, "Oh, where did your kid go?" He's just like, She's probably out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Exploring. Does not care at all.
Yeah.
Completely trust her faith in society.
Other than Yotsuba, did either of you have a favorite character?
I think my favorite character would probably be Fuka, the middle child, because I feel like she just tries, but then something happens and she's like, oh no. Like, for example, when she saw her crush with someone else, she was really sad. And then she was telling Yotsuba, like, oh, my heart's broken and stuff. And then Yotsuba decides to write a newspaper and distribute it. Like,
In today's news, Fuka has a heartbreak.
Poor Fuka.
Yeah, so I feel like she's sort of she deals a lot with Yotsuba's antics, but I really love how she deals with them. Like, you know, when they go to the flower shop together, and when they're biking to the flower shop to get hold of flowers, and they pass by a bus, or rather, the bus passes by them, and then she tells Yotsuba, hey, it's free for children like you, like under a certain age. And then Yotsuba's like, really? And then like she's just talking, and then she turns around and Yotsuba isn't there anymore. And then she just looks over to the bus and she's on the bus. Stuff like that just makes me really appreciate Fuka's role in like the whole dynamic of the neighborhood.
Yeah, she works really well for them, for especially Yotsuba's antics to kind of bounce off.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Suellen?
Yeah, I think like two characters came to mind. One is Asagi.
Yes.
I talking about like dealing with Yotsuba, I feel like most of the characters, I mean the younger ones, they're just sort of, they either like Mura-chan, who's like always want to like trick Yotsuba, and Anna, who's like always trying to like go along with it and like comfort her, not trying to break her heart. And Fuka also just constantly chasing after her. There's Asagi. I feel like she just maybe because she was a playful child herself, I don't know, or playful at heart, she knows how to handle Yotsuba. Like when it comes to the assassin scene, do you know how Yotsuba going around with the water gun? Like she completely like handles it well and goes along with it really well. I don't know, it just, yeah, she just knows how to handle kids in a way, being the older person. And also Muru as well. I feel like she's just really funny how she sort of reacts to Yotsuba's ignorance, like when they went to the park to do nature sketch. Yotsuba was like, the ocean. And she's like, oh my god, woman, open your eyes. Is that the ocean? It's a pond. It's a pond. That bit killed me when I first read it. And how she's like just constantly trying to like you will see later on in the volume as well, but she in the volumes we've read, she's like put on that bird eye that she knows that Yotsuba hates so much. Just to freak her out. I just love the chaoticness in her as well.
Poor Yotsuba.
Yeah.
I liked one moment with Asagi when, so she swipes her mum's strawberry off the cake, and her mum's like, you know, that blank-eyed stare, like, how could this have happened to me? And then she swipes Yotsuba's as well, and then like she looks at Yotsuba's expression, and she's just like wide-eyed, sort of same blank stare, but like somehow 500 times cuter. And then like I love how she dealt with that. Like she was like, oh, okay, yeah, that exactly. Yeah, she was like, yeah, you know, I'll just put it back on your. Just kidding.
You can't do that to her.
It's back.
It's like chaotic good.
Yeah, and then the mum's just like, what did I do to deserve this?
That whole family cracks me up.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the way they play together and their kind of varying levels of preparedness for Yotsuba's chaotic antics.
Mm.
I also really like Asagi for that reason. Kind of the other two work really well playing kind of the straight character, as it were, And then she's just that kind of bit more mature, but also really cheeky. And so she's fine, like sicking Yotsuba on somebody else, being like, attack.
Oh yeah, it's like, yeah, Fuka's the bad guy. Like,
Yeah.
I'll protect you.
When you mentioned the assassin scene where Yotsuba goes around with a water pistol, that bit was so funny. How she just sees it on the TV and then she's like, huh, right idea. I find it really reflects how kids pick stuff up from other sources and then try to emulate what they see and what they hear and know. And yeah, it was just so funny the way that she went around killing people.
Yeah, I totally agree kind of on the kids picking up things that they see and learn. And I really like the different ways in which that's shown in the manga. So sometimes you have like certain words that Yotsuba's clearly picked up off somebody or a TV show. And then her dad's like, how do you know that word? Other times you have her, picking up phrases or actions when she's like, you can tell me in hell.
Save your excuses for hell.
Yeah. And just there's enough kind of varied things that she does that are, I suppose, true to how young kids pick up these kind of things that I think it really helps kind of flesh out her character.
Did you guys do anything like this when you were younger?
Oh yeah, loads.
Probably, yeah.
I'm not going to speak about it on the record.
Oh, okay. You can tell us after the recording.
Moving swiftly onwards to the plot line. I suppose there's not really much of a kind of overarching plot. There's not like particular arcs. There is a general kind of loose connection between chapters. So, for example, there's a chapter that you mentioned earlier where Yotsuba and Fuka go and get flowers, and then they deal with things with those, and then for the next kind of 2 or so chapters, there's loads of flowers everywhere. And just little things like that help give it some kind of continuity, but still give each individual chapter the kind of freedom that you can just pick it up, see what happens, which I think works beautifully for this kind of manga. I'm not so interested. I mean, maybe I would be if they were to do it, but personally, I'm less interested in plot development and more interested in kind of Yotsuba's antics. The plot development's more there to keep it fresh.
I think for me, it's like, I guess the point of a series, in fact, it's the slogan of this series, like Yotsuba enjoys everything. It just like, there's just so much material to draw about, because Yotsuba, she sort of sees this world through her like inexperienced and innocent eyes, so everything becomes a fascination and something new for her. So like, it's a lot for the series to go on, and in a way also as readers, it's like kind of makes us sort of find joy in like the little things in life, the way Yotsuba does, which I think like one main things that make this series really, really wholesome and family friendly as well, because I feel like the humor also, it's universal in a way. You don't have to understand that much context, and just the antics of everyday life that makes up the jokes in this series.
Do you reckon that the chapters would have been better or worse if they were shorter? So, for example, if it was like a 4-panel kind of thing.
I would always want more of it, because I don't know, if it's shorter, it just becomes, it takes away your time with the characters. It feels like just one joke after the next, and they stop sort of becoming characters who's just living their life. I don't know, because with a longer chapter, you can actually see them have more interactions and more time for dialogue, right? And it makes it more realistic. I think it would still work, but it just wouldn't be Yotsuba.
Yeah, I suppose some of the jokes would have to change too. You'll notice there's a few where, for example, let's say something happens to, or take for example the strawberry joke from earlier, where Asagi kind of steals Yotsuba's strawberry, and then there's a frame of just Yotsuba looking really sad, and then there's kind of a frame of like Asagi thinking about like, what do I do? And that joke would have to be redone. So I suppose I agree with you.
Mm.
And then do you reckon if the chapters were longer, they'd work better or worse?
I'm curious to see though if they do decide to make it longer. I mean, how long is it now? Is it like a 20 pages or is like a 30 pages for each chapter?
Maybe 20.
It's a good question, actually.
I think the length right now is perfect.
Yeah.
I agree with you there. Do you reckon that as they flesh out the characters more, so I'm seeing 20 to 30 pages when I look through these.
Oh, okay.
More like 25 to 30. Do you reckon that as they progress and the kind of the character interactions get more complex and Yotsuba, I suppose, becomes more experienced, if she does, do you reckon the chapters will get longer there?
Maybe. But do you see that happening though? I
Yeah.
have a feeling, yeah.
I
don't
do.
know. Okay.
It might not. I have no idea. I've only read about 4.5 volumes. But I think that the chapter length at the moment is perfect. I think that as they try different things and maybe as Yotsuba has more previous experience to go upon, we'd become more invested and then more likely to kind of read a little further, and the payoff would also be really good, I think, for that. But I'm curious as to what the format's like, say like 11 volumes in.
Yeah, I think at the moment I like the kind of short and sweet layout of the volumes because I feel like so every sort of chapter has an aim, and I think that the mangaka achieves that aim very well with what pages they are drawing on right now. So I'm not sure. I feel like even when when we get to the later volumes, I hope that the chapter length actually stays the same.
Yeah, sounds good.
Even though Yotsuba has her antics in every chapter, I like that the mangaka realizes that sometimes she can take it a bit too far. So, like when her dad tells her off, for example, I like that because it's very realistic. Yeah. But...
I agree. I think also mixing up the formula, Yotsuba being kind of chaotic and messing with people is fun to read, but of course you do want to mix it up every now and then, and having chapters where maybe somebody gets the better of her, or it's maybe just a chapter where they do something really nice, like go camping.
I really like that sometimes a chapter doesn't just focus on Yotsuba. So with the other family, what was their name?
So is it when Asagi went on holiday and came back with all the shenanigans?
Yeah, that one. And I liked that Yotsuba didn't come in until near to the end ish. I liked that they had the chance to flesh out other characters as well.
Yeah.
I like that bit when like they're like, oh, I bought a souvenir for dad. Oh, sorry, I always forgot. Dad's already gone. And then the next page, because no, stop trying to kill dad up. He's alive. I love that, how they just turned that like trope around, like whoop.
Yeah, I was a big fan of that too.
Yeah. Before we were doing this manga podcast, I was actually listening to a different manga podcast called Manga Pod, and they read Yotsubato as well. And there was a really good point that they pointed out, is that they never really, at least like for the volumes that we've read, they never really sort of talked about how this translator is like just a single parent, who just happened to found a kid overseas apparently and just decided to adopt them, and there was no one around being like, oh, you're like alone, where's the mother, or like anything like that. Or even I guess maybe because Yotsuba right now is like quite innocent and oblivious to the fact that, oh, there's a mother and a father usually in the family, but even when she's exposed to that, she's not really thinking like, oh, where's my mom, like sort of stuff. So I was just wondering if this is a point would they ever like bring up, or they just completely normalize single parenthood, which is quite cool and wholesome.
I'm also really curious as to how Yotsuba and Yosuke kind of came together and why they moved house and everything. I'd really like to find out more. So I hope they do address it. So we've talked a bit about the characters. Let's move on to the artwork. So then, what did you think generally? How did it work for you? Do you think it worked with the genre?
Yeah, so I think overall it worked with the genre really well because the point of it is more about the punchline and the cute and funny expressions. So even though at first, when I first started reading it, I thought, oh, these are like really, really simple characters. But that's like, it's just the mangaka style. And I think, even though it's simple, but the characters do sort of can be distinguished between each other.
Mhm.
And one thing I noticed is like the backgrounds are quite nicely detailed and realistic, while the characters is like 2D. And what am I saying? 2D. Yeah. Yeah, it's just really simple compared to the background, but somehow it made it work, and kind of appreciate the detailness in the background. When Yotsuba goes to the zoo with her dad, it's like all the animals are like so cute.
Yeah,
and stuff,
definitely.
but contrasted with their like simplistic facial features and stuff. Not as like as weird as it sounds. It actually looked really cute, and it told the story well. But I guess for a cute manga like that, you need the characters to be like simple, so it's easy to draw and make fan arts of.
Nice. For my part, I don't think we've actually had a manga yet where I've disliked the style. This is, of course, no exception. Again, being a comedy, I think it can get away with less detailed, kind of pretty characters. Although there are some really nice looking scenes when fireworks come to mind. I think it works well. It didn't like amazingly stand out to me and make me go wow. But I do think that for the kind of content it is, and for the characters and their kind of dispositions, it works beautifully. So absolutely no complaints here. I quite enjoyed it. Jade,
Yeah.
did you have any particular thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I really liked the art. I thought it fitted well with Yotsuba's everyday life and the lives of everyone around her, in the way that their facial expressions are quite clear, and Yotsuba herself stands out with her is it 4 ponytails?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't she meant to have hair kind of like a 4-leaf clover, which I think might actually be called the same thing
Yeah,
in Japanese, which is also why her hair's green.
and she's a foreigner, right? They've mentioned that she's not like Japanese.
Yeah, because she was from the left.
The left.
Hawaii. So Hawaii. Oh, perfect. I feel like if she was actually from Hawaii, like maybe they would have mentioned it, because multiple people has been to Hawaii and has mentioned that they went to Hawaii.
Like Jumbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
Another thing I liked about the art is the kind of speech that, when people say stuff, when they're in the background, or when it's like, not a main thing, it is very clear when it's like a small text, and it is distinct from the bigger text in speech bubbles. And when people are shouting, it's like it definitely adds emphasis to their tone of voice, which obviously you can't really hear in a manga, but you can tell in your head when you read this. Like for example, Jumbo shouting, what is it? Gal?
Yeah, he's making like a lion noise.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or
So
maybe an
yeah,
elephant.
when he shouts, yeah, it's very clear.
I think one thing about the art I forgot to mention is that I really like how they do the copyright stuff at the end of the volume. Because if you flip to the end of volume, for example, I think this is volume 2, the fireworks one. So you have like the kids looking up at like this line of like, oh, copyright 20, like publishing, all rights reserved, and then like the next page is like the more like, oh, this is a fictional like character, blah blah blah, and it becomes a firework. So
Yeah.
they're like, oh, spoilers. They're watching it goes up like that.
Yes.
Oh.
There's a lot of little things at the end of it. Sort of, I thought it was like a really creative way to like illustrate these like, oh, translation by ISBN, blah blah blah.
Yeah, agreed. I still don't have I know it's green. Yotsuba's hair, but mentally it's still not green for me. And like I still find it weird whenever I see a cover and she's got green hair.
Nah, mate, it's forever green in my mind.
I mean, it's a great look. I think I have it as like light brown mentally. I'm not sure why.
I think because I've seen this girl like so many times before I started reading it, it just cemented in my mind. Like,
Yeah, same.
Were there any I mean, we've spoken a lot about little moments, and there's a lot of kind of fun, cute moments that are worthy of their own highlights. If you had to pick one, your favorite little sketch, what would it be?
why you gotta do this? Why
I'm
one?
sorry. It's the hardest question.
Yeah.
I think the assassin scene for me.
Oh, strong one, strong one.
Yeah.
For me, okay, all right. I'm going to cheat slightly, despite saying I should know. Of the volumes we've read, I really liked the one where they introduce Enna to Jumbo, where up until now he's just been like a cool kind of chill guy. And then she's like, wow, he's so huge. And this is like the fourth time that somebody's just seen him and immediately gone, wow, you're huge. And so rather than being like, hi, I'm Jumbo, he just yells like a lion. And then there's just a few frames of her like running away and falling over before Yotsuba's like, it's okay. He's not scary, I promise. Which one caught me off guard because it's a bit of a twist on what they've done before. And two, I just found so cute the way that they frame it. For me, everything about that was perfect.
It's also nice how they managed to do all of that in one page.
Yes. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
But of volumes that we've not read in this podcast, there's the trick or treat scene is maybe my favorite in the whole thing. I'm not sure if you have read it. I see you nodding along, Jade.
No.
Okay, when you eventually get to the trick or treat scene, tell me because it's my favorite in the whole thing.
Okay.
Quite far along.
It is pretty far.
Hmm.
Suellen, did you have a favorite?
I think when I wrote down my favorite moments, I think we talked about basically all of them, like the cake stealing one, the assassin one, the Fuka heartbreak, the it's a pond, and I think the other two that wasn't brought up, it's like small things, like when they wanted to buy. When the mother was like, "Oh, you guys, should go get cake," and Mura was like, "No, don't buy it on my account," and she's like, "No, I want some," with a straight face. Like, yeah, I get you.
The mum is great.
Yeah, I know. And there's one where it's like when I think the father was stuck in the bathroom window or trying to get in. When Fuka saw him, was like, "I'll pretend I didn't see that."
Yeah.
Love her, like just sorry, I don't want to deal with this bunch of weirdos.
Yeah,
that was amazing. But yeah, it's like Yotsuba's great.
I also really liked the air conditioner where she was like, "My dad would never be a bad person. What are you talking about?" And then she's like, "Oh, my dad's a bad person." and then she gets Asagi explains to her, and she's like, "I always knew. My dad wasn't a bad person." I liked that bit as well. Do you think that this series has continued for a bit longer? I'm not sure if it's finished, but do you think it will show Yotsuba as an older teenager, like 18? And how different do you think she will be?
That's an interesting question. I can use a real life example because Barakamon finished as well. And it too starred a chaotic little child. And the funny thing is, I think for that series, it's not, I guess it's kind of spoiler in the sense that they do a time skip at the end of the volume, but you don't get to see the kid, what the kid looks like, which is interesting. I feel like maybe it would be cute, definitely, to imagine like, oh, a green hair girl, like what would she look like when she was older. But it's also like, what is the rule in the internet called? What is it? Rule 73, rule 43, rule 23?
Which what does it mean?
Just anything will have porn.
Oh, 34?
Yeah, rule 34.
Everything eventually becomes porn. So really just hope, no.
No.
Please don't show her as an adult. I don't know, just for that rule. But yeah. I even wonder whether the series will like continue her as her like reach adulthood, right? And imagine it would just do a time skip as well.
Hmm.
Can't imagine it will keep how they will keep going. I mean, it will be nice, but of the volumes I've read so far, it seems because it's based on her innocence and oblivious.
I reckon actually they'll just keep her. They'll like just keep going on without any kind of, I suppose, aging of characters. There's a motto actually that they have, which is today is always the most enjoyable day. Or I believe in the original translation, as I read here, it says enjoy everything. So I can see it just kind of staying, I suppose, static in that sense. So you still get to just have Yotsuba's kind of journey of discovery and kind of enjoyment of just about everything except a certain target. So I don't know. I can't see it having her like grow up, because then it would be a completely different manga, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe a spin-off of like older Yotsuba, but nah, I reckon it stays like this.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting to see her grow up, but also I can imagine that the mangaka might probably want to keep it might want to just keep her the same age, but I don't know how they would want to approach the fact that, you know, she will be growing up and learning new things, meeting far more new people, maybe even moving to a different place.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe it will be like, oh my god, pins and needles. It would be like it would be a really wholesome twist on how to, I don't know, live adult life, because if she manages not like to keep her sort of mindset on I don't know, finding everything fascinating, or just manage to find joy in little things you do in life, so maybe there will be a really wholesome one where she's like working at an office and like everyone is like miserable or just having like a mediocre time at the office, and she just manages to take these little office, I don't know, like little things like the printer's not working, or like other spin it into like a gag. That would be quite wholesome. Maybe that's like
cool.
already,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yotsuba in the workplace, in the office.
It could be fun. It could be fun actually.
Yeah.
In this podcast, we have a certain section where we grab a character from the previous manga that we reviewed and we pull them into this one. So last time we were reading Space Brothers by Koyama Chuya. So how do you reckon one or both of the Space Brothers would fare in Yotsubato?
Oh man, Muta and Yotsubato. Sorry, Muta in Yotsubato would just be, they would go so well. Because I feel like they're both kind of the same in a way.
I get the free spirit vibe from both of them. And I reckon you'd get Muta doing some, you know, like when he like pretends to look at him, he like tries to look at himself in the astronaut mask to pretend that he's like wearing the suit. And it's the kind of thing that he'd do and then like hope nobody saw. And you absolutely know Yotsuba would be there in the corner like, I saw everything.
I feel like on the other hand, Hibito, if he came into Yotsubato, I feel like he would just indulge whatever Yotsuba does. Just, hey, you're climbing that fence. Yeah, I'll climb it with you. You know, you can do it.
He's more like an Asagi type, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. They were quite similar vibe, I feel like.
I reckon also as side characters, they'd work really well, where you have kind of the older brother that used to kind of pave the way, but then basically got kind of sidetracked. And he's got his own dream. So he you know, you'd see him around more often. And then you've got the other one who shows up every now and then to just either show something really cool related to space, probably, or to like inspire Yotsuba, maybe. I reckon they'd work really well as side characters.
Yeah, I feel like Muta and Yotsuba just share the same brain cells.
They are one entity.
Yeah, he'll be like, oh, this kid is really onto something. Like, he'll seriously consider like things like Yotsuba says.
Yeah. I could also see them like working out for him too.
How do you mean?
So she'd say something like, you know, why don't you just do insert silly thing here? And he'd like get stuck on whatever problem it is and then try her suggestion and it would work.
Oh, that would be chaotic.
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, do either of you have any final thoughts on the manga?
I love this manga. I hope, because it's still ongoing, but the chapters come out like really, really slowly, and I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it ending anytime soon, so let's hope it doesn't. And yeah, I will continue reading on this wonderful, wonderful series. And so far, I've read a little bit ahead on. So far, so good. It still managed to maintain the lightheartedness and the wholesomeness of the series. So if you enjoyed the first 4 volumes, you will not be disappointed when you continue.
Good.
Yeah, I'm the same. I definitely love this series, and mad respect to the dad for taking care of Yotsuba and, you know, being really chill. I
He's
like
a good
that.
guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I really love everything about this, and I think it's a very wholesome pick-me-up kind of manga, and I am definitely going to read more of Yotsuba.
I agree. During the pandemic, when it's kind of hard to get a bit of kind of ordinary life, it's really refreshing and kind of, you know, wholesome to read about this girl kind of exploring and enjoying every day and her kind of experiences in the world. So I think now in particular is a good time to read it. But yeah, it's always a good one. And as I said at the start, you know, you can pick it up, read a few chapters, and you'll feel whatever you were feeling at before, you'll feel better.
Yeah.
So yeah, strong recommend from me.
Yeah, the chapters are also a good length. They're not, you know, they're kind of short compared to a lot of other manga series out there. So, you know, you can just read like for 10 minutes and just feel infinitely better.
I would recommend this actually to anybody. I think, you know, younger children can have fun just from the gags. You know, old people that are older can enjoy kind of Yotsuba's kind of chaotic energy. And when I was trying to find out kind of where to get a copy of this, actually, I noticed that there's a thing called a bilingual manga where it's got it in Japanese and English, and there's a little button to like switch between them. So if you're trying to learn Japanese, it's quite a good manga for that too.
Is it helping you? Are you finding?
Yeah, it is actually. I'm at the point now where, you know, some kanji is fine, and a lot of what Yotsuba says is kind of what a thing is. So, you know, like a duck will pop up and she'll be like, "It's a duck," and I'm like, "Oh, that's the word for duck. I get it now." So I would actually strongly recommend it for that too.
Oh, that's great.
It's a fun read. So in our next session, we will be reading
Sailor Moon by Naoko Takeuchi. So Sailor Moon is about some magical girls who can transform. There's cats involved. Yeah, 90s magical girl is basically Sailor Moon.
Nice. That'll be my first foray into magical girls that aren't Madoka, which was not the same thing. So I'm looking forward to it. Where are we reading up to?
We are reading up to and including Act 13, which is called Decisive Battle Reincarnation.
Wow, that is quite the title. Okay, I look forward to it.
Yes. Thank you for listening to this OCHATO episode.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Woo! One day we'll get the outro fully clean.